ever watch Caillou, Dora the Explorer, Chuggington? They got dark. What if they started to do something a little weird that kind of made you uncomfortable or made your kid uncomfortable as well? Yo, the darkest kids TV show ever made. Let's get straight to it. Put a BTL poster of us. Put a poster of us BTL. I have to get one made. I just have to find a font, guys. You know what I'm saying? Zesty at. Hey, yo, bro. Ain't never zesty. Never zesty is. Hey, that's blatant disrespect. But I might figure out something for like the holidays or something. Be like, what should I put in my background? Y'all, like, I'll buy it, but y'all have to choose 3 things and I'll put it in my background, bro. You know what I'm saying? I like that idea. We'll probably do that for like December or maybe Black Friday. I need to get a deal out. Yo, the darkest kids TV show ever made. Guys, if it's fun, has loads of free time, I bet. All right, let's get to it. I don't know what we're getting into actually at all. Flashing warning. I do not condone the harassment of any person. Topics include... Whoa.
It's the winter of 1985. A family living in a remote region of the Philippines receives a package at their door, which contained a single VHS tape and a note stating that the contents were for the children of the house. And so the kids were gathered up one by one and sat in front of the television where the tape began to play, introducing them to a brand new show called
Life with Grandpa.
Life with Grandpa.
This was the experience for hundreds of kids across the world, made to watch a seemingly harmless puppet show about a grandpa.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
His family, with most of the young viewers loving it, gladly watching this episode and the many others that would be sent later on, over and over again, blissfully unaware that what they were being shown would someday come to be known as one of the most disturbing rabbit holes in the history of children's media.
Oh, geez.
This is the story of Life with Grandpa, the darkest kids show ever made.
Who's the creator? Is the creator in jail?
Nothing can harm you when Jesus is near.
Dad, I don't want you to leave.
Can I persuade you to subscribe?
Before we dive any further down this rabbit hole, I want to first
Bro, I feel like this is gonna get insane.
thank today's video sponsor, Saley. Throughout my life,
www.
Fellowship dedicated to sharing.
She loved to play on the steep hillside.
Life with Grandpa, won't you come along?
Oh jeez. Grandma and
This is
Grandpa.
Life with Grandpa, a straight-to-VHS show made for children created sometime in the mid-80s. The program followed a family of humanoid puppets on their journey to teach the audience lessons loosely based on Christianity, through the use of stories, skits, and songs, acting as a guide for children to live their best possible lives for Jesus.
We're continuing with some more lessons about prayer. Are you all ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Lord. Such sweethearts.
The show was set up in an episodic fashion, never following any main overarching storyline.
Yo, the fact that they use such humanoid puppets is kind of what's like disturbing me. Not like I don't even know what the message is about
would
yet.
be composed of a series of shorter segments, recounting past experiences from this family, with an occasional musical number thrown in here and there.
We don't have a sad God. We have a happy God who wants us to be happy too.
Unsurprisingly, the main character of the crew was Grandpa, who acted as the show's host, often being the one to teach the episode's central messages not only to his on-screen family, but to all the kids watching at home.
But it's my kite.
But wouldn't you like to pray that some poor little boy who doesn't have so many toys and blessings as you do will find your kite?
Yes, Grandpa.
As he was made to be a wise, almost religious-like figure, whose words were never questioned. Often seen by his side was his wife, Mother Maria, though for as often as she's shown, she rarely has much to say.
Yes, thank the Lord for such a good, sweet boy.
Typically only chiming in when she's reiterating Grandpa's messages to the children. And of the children, there was Davida, Techi, and Davidito, with the latter being one of the show's central figures, landing right next to or potentially even ahead of Grandpa in terms of screen time, as Davidito often got his own segments and told his own stories directly to the audience.
Hello, children. Would you like to hear some exciting prayer adventures? This first story happened when I was very small.
And though it's never outright stated, it's clear that Davidito was put on a pedestal, with the child often getting special treatment and being showered in gifts, as the family clearly seemed to favor him.
Thank you, Uncle Al.
It's called a kite.
We want to give you a little surprise because you were such a good witness.
This brand new tape
Good
recorder
witness.
is for you.
Thank Thank you, Jesus.
with there never being an explanation as to why. This is the core group of Life with Grandpa, with the only other reoccurring characters being Aunt Sarah and Uncle Elf, a couple that was often shown around the house helping look after the kids. And despite this looking like something pulled straight from the depths of the uncanny valley, the content within the show didn't really seem all that troublesome. In fact, it appeared fairly normal, and not too unlike the many other low-budget religious shows of the time, highlighting themes like obedience,
Nothing short of right is right.
Yes, so the right thing is...
To obey.
sharing,
Good morning, Davida. I have a surprise for you. Oh, can I see it? I would like to share my cars with you. Which ones do you like?
and loving everyone.
That's really sweet
I
of
got
you,
chickies.
David. Thank you for that nice, generous present.
What present?
That nice kiss. A kiss makes a real beautiful gift or present.
Though mixed within these fairly standard teachings, you'll find other moments that are far more unusual.
Such as?
Don't run down that gravel hill. Davida! Oh, Davida.
She's bleeding, and her cut is all covered with dirt.
And I don't even have a tissue to wipe it with.
Oh.
I'll just have to lick it clean and spit out the dirt.
What? Lick it clean and spit out the dirt?
The show featured a lot of strange underlying themes that seemed to have nothing to do with religion, or at least not the conventional beliefs of Christianity, with one of the more obvious being its unprompted disdain for doctors.
We'll have to really pray that there won't be a scar.
Soon afterwards, there was no sign at all of the deep gash on Davida's forehead. Surely a doctor would have stitched it, but our God is still a God of miracles. Praise the Lord.
As well as its constant endorsement of spanking.
Jesus spanks us because he loves us and wants us to obey
Wow, that already sounds abusive. That doesn't sound right. This doesn't sound right at all.
and be good.
What?
We're really sorry.
So it's like, to be honest with you, what I'm getting from this is like, this is the type of kids that later adults, they become very hardcore atheists. You know what I mean? Because I already know this is gonna get a lot worse. Like, we're nothing in this video, but this is how like people who started off good end up becoming like, yo, they have a disdain for God, which is sad.
The Lord should spank you a little bit or correct you. It's for your own good. It's because he loves you and wants you to be good and obey.
And while these are certainly strange, by far the most glaring indication that Life with Grandpa wasn't just your typical kids show came from the program's stance on women, with the first major example coming from a song made for the young girls watching on.
Oh, let's see.
So do the dishes and clean the floor, and God can show us something more. I'm ready for any job at all, whether it's great or whether it's small.
What?
I'm ready to go, ready to stay, ready my place to fill. Ready for service, lowly or great, ready to do God's will.
The message behind this song is clear. If you're a woman, then it's your job to cook, clean, and have babies. And that's about it, as this is God's will and your sole purpose for existing. And while this ideology
Very
was certainly
interesting.
not as controversial at the time, the show took it even further, as it hammered home this idea to all the children watching on by repeating one line at the end over and over again.
Trust and obey, for there's no other way. Trust and obey, for there's no other way.
Oh, you see what I'm saying? I saw this documentary about Coco Melon and how to use like repetitive words to like to jam it in kids' heads for them to like understand it crazy.
Trust and obey, for there's no other way.
Making it clear that this was a lesson that the showrunners didn't want these kids to question. But as comically offensive as this song is, it was far from the worst that the show had to offer.
It's time for our electric song.
He's a friendly scientist, a real good friend of ours.
In another episode, we're shown a musical number about Grandpa, who's
let's
portrayed
see.
as a scientist that's always busy working, though the song is really less about him and more about his love interest.
Getting out of shape,
Little robot?
'cause he's in love with a robot. Watch her flick and spin.
The fuck?
Yeah.
a robot.
Whoa!
With long hair and nude female breasts. It's one of the most surreal things that I've ever seen on a kid show, as this thing was clearly meant to be a portrayal of Grandpa's wife and women in general, likening them to robots. Though unlike the previous demeaning song, this number is blatantly perverted, as it not only shows the robot having breasts, but it also shows Grandpa fondling them as well. And these perversions weren't even exclusive to its imagery.
What the fudge?
It's shocking for so many reasons.
I mean,
but mainly
right.
due to the fact that this was on a show that was literally made for toddlers and young children, who are now being shown this clearly explicit content. And most disturbing of all is the realization that this sexualized material was actually nothing new to the world of Life with Grandpa.
Oh God. So it gets worse.
Predating the puppets, there was a little-known illustrated book series called Life of Grandpa, with the show practically being a shot-for-shot remake of this book series, featuring the same exact characters and stories. And much like the show, the series was also a religious guide created for children. In its pages,
that's
you
the
find
thing. That's one of the things that I have a problem with. Is like, how come everything that's like for God is always corrupted? Why is it always the evil people that get a hand of this stuff and then twist it to beyond oblivion to make it the worst thing ever? End up straying people away from God more than ever bringing him, bro.
Morality and lessons made to guide you towards a proper way of
living. That stuff is very bothering to me, bro.
But these books also had a very apparent dark side. One far worse than the show it inspired. In the chapter
Real Fathers, thank you for reading us Grandpa's story. Yes, thank you. I love you.
Fathers were shown a scene where Techi and Davidito question why they have two different skin colors, despite them being siblings, as Techi noticed that Davidito's skin appeared light brown, while hers was almost pure white, to which Grandpa then explains to them how his wife and their mother had slept with other men. See, God used Timothy and Carlos only to fuck Mama, so that
See, God just used Timothy and Carlos only to... Wow, so that I could have you both. They were just like an instrument or tool that used to help create you wonderful for his kingdom. Praise the... Oh, God.
Have you both. They were just like an instrument or tool that Jesus used to help create you wonderful little children for his kingdom. Praise the Lord. This was followed by an in-depth explanation of what that scene looked like, including images depicting the act.
Gracias. Yo! What was the purpose of depiction? Who needed to see that?
Examples like this are prevalent all...
What the fudge? Poor sister, they surely seen and appreciate me more.
All throughout the pages of...
Appreciate me more now that I'm not there.
Grandpa, with erotic material being shown constantly with no...
What the fudge?
No regard as to how inappropriate this is to be showing kids.
What the fudge? I've never met a girl with so much love as you. You're so different from the others.
Which begs the obvious question. Why? Why was Life with Grandpa
Why was it so overtly sexual? Why was it sexual, period?
Perverted? Well, the answer lies with the author of the books and the reason for the show's existence.
Yeah, who's the creator, man? I feel like he's... David Berg. Yeah,
he has his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect. That's when Jesus is going to come back to rapture his saints, to gather them together.
Born in 1919, David grew up a devout believer in Christianity, but wanted something more from the religion. He dreamed of one day starting his own group with his own teachings.
What? So he wanted to start a cult. That's what happened. All right, guys, he started a cult.
68.
He's a cult leader that doesn't like women and that doesn't agree with the teachings of the Bible, so he twisted it to his vision.
Ripe age of 50, he decided it was time to do just that.
The
group began in Huntington Beach, California, and went by many names over the years, like Teens for Christ, the Children of God, the Family of Love, the Family International, or just the Family. But regardless of its name, there was no denying what this group was. A cult. A cult led by David Berg. Berg would find young hippies and those struggling with drug addiction and mental health issues, and convince them to join his group by stating that the end of the world was coming soon, and that they needed to follow in his path and join his family to save their souls.
Whoa.
It was pretty standard cult ideology, but at the time it was extremely effective, with the sect amassing a staggering 10,000 members at its peak. And at first, David got by with fairly standard teachings from the Bible, although this wouldn't last. After some time, Berg began addressing his followers via frequent illustrated messages called Mo
Lashes of
letters
love.
that featured his ramblings and teachings from the time, with Berg slowly ingraining into his members that the contents of these letters should be taken as seriously, if not more so, than the Bible.
Oh my
In one of these letters
gosh.
sent out in 1972, Berg claimed that God was going to destroy the United States and that the group needed to flee the country immediately, with Berg demanding that his followers spread out all across the globe and open up communal homes where members could live as one, far away
See, now he's trying to advance the
from
cult.
the public eye. As a result, many members packed up their things and left right away, leading to roughly 130 communities being established across.
See, the thing about this is, imagine if he did this for good, though. Imagine if he said, yo, everybody, go across the whole world, create as many communal holes as you want, as you guys need to bring more people to Christ.
different countries, essentially overnight. This mass migration had an extremely significant impact on the family, as it left practically the entire group outside of the United States, and more importantly, outside of the United States jurisdiction.
Exactly.
Meaning that Berg can now get away with far more
He can do, since they're out of the U.S., he can do anything he wants to them because it's out of the oh my
than he
god.
used to. And unsurprisingly, this is where he began to tighten his control.
See, probably sleeping with their wives and stuff like that.
The full-time members were made to give up all of their earthly possessions to the group and cease all contact with their family and friends who were non-believers, cutting them off from the outside world completely. And these restrictions also applied to the media they consumed.
I decided I would limit how much I would watch the TV. Cause now I've got the answer. It's the slave, I'm the master. It no longer has a spell on me.
What the fuck?
In his teachings, Berg denounced all forms of entertainment made outside of the cult, since he believed that this would poison the minds of his members and potentially sway them into leaving the group. And so, instead, he insisted that his followers only consume media that was produced directly by the family,
him.
with these
Knew
works
it.
often being created by Berg himself or the other followers he enlisted, and then shipped directly to the members' homes, leading to hundreds if not thousands of videos, movies, and TV shows being produced and shared among the family. But for Berg, this wasn't just about providing entertainment. It was really all about controlling the minds of his group, and even more
Sounds like-
importantly, indoctrination, with
That's
his
exactly what
primary
it sounds
targets
like.
being children.
Knew it.
From birth, most kids were not shown any media other than what the cult gave their parents, with these works quite literally shaping their minds into following everything that the cult believed in without question. The main themes of these were usually things like always be happy,
More than 70 little muscles form a frowny face.
But only 14 muscles put a smile in its place on your face.
always show love, and never, under any circumstances, question your parents.
Always best to do it 'cause Daddy said so. Do it 'cause Daddy said so. Do it 'cause Daddy said
See, like, objectively, these don't sound bad, but in the context of what they're doing, and I know where this is going, it doesn't sound good. Because he's probably going to tell them, oh my gosh, bro, to do bad things.
do it 'cause Daddy said so. Do it 'cause Daddy said so. Because Daddy knows best.
And Life with Grandpa was no exception, as it too was created by the family in order to instill their beliefs into its child viewers, with the line trust and obey being hammered home time and time again,
was a good persuader.
as those creating the programs didn't want their kids questioning any of the practices, and so they were teaching them to
We watch it. We're watching the darkest kid TV show ever made, bro. It's insane right now. I'm not gonna lie to you.
simply smile along.
Oh,
and
we having a
trust
good
the
day.
adults. But because the group was the one producing and distributing the content, they basically had no regulations placed on them, meaning that they could include whatever they want in these shows without any repercussions, leading to many
What
of
has
the
happened so far? So pretty much the cult leader. There's this guy. All right, so there's this child show named Life with Grandpa, which is about this Christian household that they uphold godly things, but whole time it's far from God. It's a cult. It's actually a cult that teaches a lot of very weird things, but it hasn't got that weird yet. But I know it's getting there.
Showrunners exploring some of the group's
So it's
more
pretty much a
controversial
cult animation.
beliefs, which becomes extremely
kids.
troublesome when you realize that the family wasn't just your standard cult, and instead, it was a sex cult.
Oh my gosh. Now, see, the worst part just happened. The worst part just I knew it was going to get worse, bro. We're not even halfway in. I knew it was going to get worse. Once you just start saying, do what daddy says so, I knew it was going to get crazier.
When you
I
think
knew
of
it.
Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, what are you thinking about? You think about a beautiful naked man and a beautiful naked woman. And what is the first thing that a beautiful naked man and a beautiful naked woman would, of course, naturally do as soon as they saw each other and nobody else around? I think just one look was all
Perverted. I would still get scared to watch this, Johns.
David Berg was a deeply
Same.
perverted man. The
I can
idea of
tell.
sex consumed him and seeped its way into essentially all of his teachings.
So he was a perverted old man, and look where this got him. All
I
right.
think Adam and Eve are over there behind those bushes right now, busy making not pina colada. I think they're making some other kind of juices.
And once his followers were
Freaky
outside of
boy.
the US, he began to preach something he called the law of love, which
don't
essentially said that the family should be showing all people love, and that love should come in the form
Whoa.
of sex.
Oh my gosh, please do not.
I practice what I preach, and I preach sex, boys and girls, hallelujah.
And so he told his followers to open up their relationships to outsiders, calling the practice sharing. As you
So pretty much what he wanted to do is just sleep with a bunch of men and women.
were made to share your partner in the hopes of enticing new people to join the group. But he wasn't satisfied with just this, and instead he began to mandate that the women of the group participate in something he called flirty fishing. Also known as FF, flirty fishing describes the practice of women going into bars at night in order to pick up lonely men, who they would then entertain for the night. The goal of this was to convince these men to join the family, though more realistically, the goal was also to make money, as they were made
So,
to
like-
charge for their services, with the women being
Wait a
told to
second.
seek-
So you were telling them to do godly, and heavy on the quotations, godly prostitution? You know, Sodom and Gomorrah got kablammed for things like this, right? Are we on the same boat here?
lonely
I feel like,
businessmen.
it's starting to get to a point, like, are we all reading the different Bible?
And
Why
this
not
is
look like
something that
Trump?
Berg not only pushed heavily,
never mind.
but outright mandated, insisting that every woman in the group do this or face being removed from the family, even
Damn.
those who were married. And Berg was so serious about this that he sent every colony report forms so that they could report how much flirty fishing was being done, in order to check their
Freaky,
statistics and
bro.
make sure that they were up to par.
No way.
Understandably, many women of the group were concerned by this and wanted nothing to do with it. However, most of them had moved all the way across the world and
Already.
sacrificed all of their belongings to be in this group, meaning that their removal would leave them with
Nothing. Oh my
They were
gosh.
trapped.
See, so it makes them at a point where they can't even go back.
Simply put, Berg was forcing the women of the group into prostitution, and he was shameless about it too, calling them God's whores and Christ's hookers.
Freaky.
The worst of all, Berg knew that flirty fishing could put these women in grave danger, as he admitted to
Exactly.
them that violent assaults were going to happen, but he said that if you want to live, simply don't resist.
What? So you're telling them that when these women of God that you're telling them about, when they're putting their life in danger by these very sexually aggressed people, men, right? And you're telling them, oh my gosh, try to get a good look at him and report him immediately if you want to report him. But remember that if you submit to, you are still going to report that you have been and identify you must prepare for your very humiliating investigation and court scene in which you will be asked all kinds of embarrassing questions about your personal. Wow.
And if you do get hurt or even killed, that's entirely your fault, as after all, it was God's will.
It was God's will when you were sending them to. Oh my gosh, her resistance, in which case he forces he may have to use violence in order to force her or even murk her. Fear of discovery or identification, in which case she screams or gets a good look at him, and he ate, afraid. She's going to identify him. He advised, if you want to save your life or spare yourself from actual violent injuries, in other words, if you rather have your life than your so-called honor and, wow. So pretty much she's just saying, give it up or you'll die.
And this was on top of a myriad of other horrific things that Berg
Girls
said
who do all the rest and suddenly doesn't want to go all the way is going to have nobody but herself to blame.
that I can't even repeat here.
Yeah.
But the man saying all of these
It was obvious that you weren't freely going to give
terrific things
Yeah, he was
the
evil.
same man who wrote Life with Grandpa, and he used this medium to normalize his sex cult's beliefs for the children watching, which gives more context as to why women were portrayed in the way they were in these books and the show,
Very
as Life with
disgustingly.
Grandpa was breaking down the young girls watching and grooming them for a life of prostitution. that they were made to accept without question.
See, started making them catchy jingles.
Though the show wasn't only for preparing the kids for the perverse lifestyles they were headed for, and instead, they were already becoming well accustomed to it.
Knew it! I knew it! I was waiting for it, bro. Anytime that you see any of these crazy cults that have anything to do with children, just know that they're getting abused, bro. Like, I already had a feeling, bro. There's nothing in the world, at all wrong with as long as it's practiced in love, no matter who or what, or what relative or what. Oh my
Berg
God.
also began to preach that children should be involved in these affairs and sharing as well, stating that he believed age should have nothing to do with it. In fact, he believed that children should be taught about this lifestyle essentially as soon as they're born. And although,
oh my gosh,
again,
he's sick. He's sick. At birth? At birth? Stop. Like any other appetite, why did the Lord make you be able to have children at any of 11? Oh my gosh.
I can't read his exact words on this. Berg had declared open season on pedophilia, and much like fluoride fishing, it was mandatory.
So he promoted the abuse of jits, and he promoted women that were married or not married to become prostitutes.
The abuse that followed is unimaginable, at a scale far too large to fully know to this day. Abuse that the parents of the children not only allowed, but often participated in, with one of the more notorious large-scale accounts coming from something that the group called the Love Video.
The Love Video? No way they recorded all of these heinous activities. No way! What's the name of the show? It's called Life with Grandpa.
It was a result of Berg sending out requests to all of the parents to send him lewd videos of their children.
I knew it! I was just waiting for them to say some crazy stuff like this. This guy
which he not only
sick.
took for himself, but packaged together into a long-form compilation video that was then distributed to all of the cult's members.
Knew it. I knew it, bro.
Encouraging the others to film similar content, with Berg going as far as creating a guide to help create the perfect video. And not only did many parents go along with this, but many clearly enjoyed it.
Kita shared with us the video that just came from World Services, and it was so inspiring. It was so beautiful. The Love Video.
And for this...
The Love Video. So I'm not even... Yo.
This couple specifically, this wasn't the only order that they were happily following.
And it was really a blessing, too, for Joe and Hobo, because they had a good chance to share also with Sally. And so the Lord's really setting us freer and freer to obey and to be free and to show that sample of freedom and love to the world.
What the fudge? So we had, is it on? Yo, Tall, don't get banned. This is this is insane.
Life with Grandpa was literally created to indoctrinate kids into a pedophilic sex cult. And it makes you realize why exactly it and so many other of the cult's programs were hammering home this point of not questioning your parents or any adults,
I was waiting
and
for
to simply obey and smile.
So the right thing is
to obey.
Because the adults in their lives were now suddenly doing unimaginable things to them.
If necessary, yeah.
And they were being groomed not to question it, making some of the show's segments horrendous in hindsight.
One very special way you can show the big people that you love them is by giving them lots of hugs, kisses, and cuddles. Oh.
What are you doing?
Really encourages and inspires the big people.
It was normalizing
the big people.
And because of this, many children never questioned the horrible assaults that they endured. Assaults that were all fueled and pushed by David Berg's sick perversions.
God created boys and girls able to have children by about the age of 12 years of age.
And my question is, how on God's earth do you know that? Why is that information that you know?
He's going to advocate child and sex. Yes.
Which were far from theoretical, as Berg himself allegedly partook in this practice repeatedly with his own children and stepchildren, as incest
his own children and
was also a key point of his teachings, and his adult followers rarely dared to question this, as those who refused to partake in Berg's latest teachings were again at risk of removal from the group, which is even more devastating for those who had children, as much like all of their possessions.
Is this still watchable? Not because I want to, because this is high key. Oh no, this is very messed up. This is very messed up. This was a video recommended to me, but it's like the fact that it can get worse than this.
Kids were pledged and belonged to the family.
This is why it's very important to make sure you watch what your kids are watching, bro. You know what I'm saying? Even though this was made in the 80s, but it's like there's probably still some crazy forms of media out there that are still, you know what I'm saying?
The kids themselves couldn't seek help either, as those that refused to trust and obey were sent away to actual prison camps owned by the cult until they were basically reprogrammed.
So they were probably, if they didn't want to partake, the kids that were like, oh, I don't want to do this, they were sent to the cult's prison, which probably was worse, by even more strangers until they were aligned to what the goal was of the cult and sent back to their oh my gosh, bro.
They made camps. I was sent with my brother to the Philippines. We had armed guards from the Filipino military keeping us in. They would publicly beat you if you asked to leave, then try to break you and get you to confess.
And the group continuously got away with this too, thanks in large part to Berg's orchestration of the group leaving the United States, which looking back was almost certainly done on purpose.
Yeah, that was obviously.
Plus, many members were actually living in hiding. In fact, all of the members were made to change their names upon joining the group, and most were told to never give out their last names, meaning that if any child wanted to report that it happened to them,
they couldn't find them because you have to use your first.
They would be unable to provide even the names
undocumented. Oh my gosh. Because you could say John did it. But they're like, who's John? John who?
And this included Berg too, who at this point lived most of his life in hiding, going by numerous aliases to avoid detection. Aliases like King, Moses, Mo, Dad, and eventually Grandpa.
Oh my gosh. Is he alive? No way he's still alive.
The entire show was about him, David Berg, which is why he was shown as a wise, unquestioned religious-like figure who the children were made to look up to. And that wasn't all, as the characters shown alongside Berg were also members of his real-life family that lived with him in a remote commune. Mother Maria was the nickname of Karen Zerby, David's wife who helped him run the
Karen Zerby
cult and facilitate this era of hypersexualization. While
I'm so curious. Zerby. He died in 91. Oh my gosh, bro.
Aunt Sarah was based on Sarah Kelly, the woman in charge of running the prison camp made to punish the kids who dared question the family's beliefs.
Her husband looks like a sicko.
Sarah Kelly, who was responsible for me being held against my will in the Philippines.
But the most grotesque detail to come from the revelation of who these characters are was that it showcased David Berg's polygamy, as he was actually married to many people in the real world, and two characters on the show itself, Mother Maria and David.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, his then 5-year-old stepdaughter. Davida would eventually go on to tell her story.
See? This is what I'm saying, bro! This is what I'm saying, bro! It is, like, extremely hard. Like, do you think she probably has a relationship with Jesus now? I just feel so bad for her, because you're, like, your dad was the most one of the most heinous people.
Stating that she had been Berg's child bride.
And there was a ceremony with the ring and everything. And once I turned 5 years old was when I was implicated into being one of his queens, so to speak.
Along with allegations that she had been victimized by him countless times. And she wasn't the only victim of Berg's perversions. Techi was often sexualized by Berg publicly, with Berg having stories made and illustrated depicting his fantasies about her when she was just a child.
Grandpa, you're back.
On top of this, numerous people within the group also claimed that she had been outright assaulted by the hands of Berg, as well as many others in the group.
And look at our pretty girls.
So both of them were...
Today. You're dressed in such nice dresses and your hair looks so nice. Yes, you look so pretty for all the children that are watching today.
The context of who these characters are makes this already disturbing show that much more sickening. But of all of the horrible stories to come from the real-life
What happened to the
characters of
son?
Life with Grandpa, there's one that is far and away the most horrific.
The son.
The story.
I had a feeling. I had a feeling, bro. He was the favorite for a reason.
Of Davidito.
David is such a handsome boy, isn't he, girls? Would you like for David to share some more lessons?
Yes, Grandpa.
What?
Are you all ready? Okay, David, you have the floor.
Knew it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
His real name was Ricky Rodriguez, and as a baby, he was taken in as Berg's son following Maria conceiving him with a man after a night of flirty fishing. And being David's first son, he was given the nickname Davidito. As for David Berg, he viewed this child as essentially a messiah. He began telling his followers that Davidito would one day save them from the apocalypse, causing Davidito to become a celebrity within the group, and worshipped as a religious figure when he was just a baby. Which explains why he was given so much airtime during Life with Grandpa, and why he was constantly being showered with gifts.
We want to give you a little surprise because you were such a good witness.
And for David and Karen, they wanted Davidito's life and childhood to be a guide for all members of the group, as they raised him in what they believed to be the perfect manner for a godly household. And so the couple and several other contributors documented the way he was raised, with daily journal entries that were published as weekly newsletters, and eventually turned into one massive book titled The Story of Davidito. And the family truly believed that this over 700-page book was the ultimate guide for parenting and showed the only proper way to raise a child. Though what it actually showed was just how badly Davidito was being abused.
Yeah,
Davidito was described laying next to his nude nannies, witnessing orgies involving his own mother, and being touched
oh my gosh.
sexually by the adults around him, with these examples being presented through not only written stories, but actual photographs, with the adults involved having their faces removed and drawings placed over the top of them in order to hide their identities. The book was not only promoting sexual acts with children, but it was outright showing it, and showing it happen to Davidito. And because of this, we have a daily journal entry of all the abuse that this child suffered, starting when he was an infant.
Oh my god.
Despite all the heinous acts that had been going on within the family, they had up until this point gone virtually unchecked by the public eye. But the story of Davidito would prove to be the first domino to fall. As the book
this might need to be a private VOD. I ain't gonna lie to you. I saw somebody else do it, right? So I don't think they had to, but I might just have to, bro. I don't know.
Tonight, the cult Children of God, founded by Moses David Berg, he reportedly sanctioned sex among children.
This immediately became a news story all across the world, and it began shining a light on the family and its twisted beliefs. But despite all the constant news coverage, and the story of Davidito being tangible proof of the cult's horrible practices, there was still essentially nothing done to stop them, as very few arrests were ever made as a result, and even fewer resulted in convictions.
Is it because like there's no proof? You know what I mean? But it's oh my gosh.
So nothing was ever done to help Davidito. And so during his entire childhood and his early adult years, he stayed with the group. Though the older he got, the more he began to see the family for what they really were. And the constant pain that he was experiencing eventually made him want to just run away from it all. And so, in 1999, that's exactly what he did, fleeing to the United States in the hopes of starting a new life. Though this was easier said than done, and no amount of distance was enough to keep him away from his tortured past. At one point during his time in the United States, Ricky actually opened up about the struggles he was experiencing on a website made for survivors of the family. And there, he documented just how bad things really were for him and made for survivors of the family. And
Berg sometimes used Ernst has keep Maria on her toes and get her to do what he wanted. For example, he would drink himself totally plastered at night, and because Maria wanted to get some, because she knew it was bad for him, she would try to ration and go to sleep, but the night after night, year after year, she kept fighting.
And there, he documented just
so every nap time, I used to use the
how bad things really were for him and several others behind the scenes, living with Berg, appropriately titling the post, Life with Grandpa. It was apparent that he was haunted by this life that he tried to escape, as the trauma was an everyday cycle of hell. And he just couldn't take it anymore.
Did he end himself?
You know that sometimes the Lord likes to test our faith, to teach us patience, and to really make us pray? This is just what happened to me once.
Or did he become like a threat? Oh my gosh. I already know where this is going.
Well, hey everyone. I want people to know that even though some of the things that
props
I'm going to try to do are rather shocking and maybe not right in a lot of people's books, I want to explain some of the reasons behind them.
On January 7th, 2005, Ricky Rodriguez set up a video camera in his apartment and expressed his desire to kill his mother and other leaders of the group for all the dread.
What in God's name? Every minute of this video gets worse and worse and worse and worse.
Things that they had done not only to him, but to all the other children, with his hope being that this would finally bring down the family once and for all.
My goal is to get those sick bucks, Ma and Peter, and you know, then I can go to the next life knowing that, you know, that I made a difference.
With Ricky going as far as to show off the various ways that he planned on torturing them.
I'm gonna have to make do. I got my drill here. Got lots of fucking duct tape.
God knows he hears.
Oh my gosh, what's good, Persuader?
He
This the
cares.
same vid? Yeah, it has got 30 times worse.
He loves his girls and boys. He gives his very best to those who let him choose the toys.
What happened? Oh my gosh. Bottom line, it was not just a regular cult of crazy religious people, because they weren't even really religious. It turned out to be a sex cult, and the sex cult did not involve just adults, but it involved minors and involved promoting that. It was very PDF file-esque. It got so much worse. And then pretty much explained that all the characters on the show, all the kids, were all being abused, but the one that was the boy was the guy who, like, they saw him as like a Jesus Messiah figure. So since he was a jit, I'm talking about infant, like in the palm of his hand, he was seeing and experiencing abuse, seeing his mom get put in a, you know what I'm saying? You feel me?
Point, David Berg had been dead for years, though the family carried on.
And now he looks like he said he's about to go murk his family.
His mother, Karen Zerby, assuming full control, which explains why she was the primary target.
Yeah, see, is this him?
And much like Berg, Karen spent most of her life in hiding, with Ricky being unable to track her down. Though he
if Ricky could find her, I'm like, on everything that is known to man, that lady is gonna have a Jeffrey Dahmer-esque death. I'm so serious, bro. Oh my gosh, bro. You're telling me this kid was abused since birth, passed around to different, like, yo, and he knows who did it? He knows their face? He knows it was his parents?
He was able to find Angela Smith, one of the nannies responsible for raising him, as well as one of his most prominent abusers, as she was even shown in the story of Davidito assaulting him. At this point, Ricky was exhausted, and Angela was his last shot at getting intel to help him find his mother and finally carry through on his plans. And so, he invited her over for dinner under the guise of rejoining the group.
Oh my gosh, it's over. It's over. It's so over for her. It's so over for her. It's so over for her. I'm talking about he found his most prominent abuser. The one that abused him, I think, the most. Oh my God.
I went home that night and tried to wait patiently for the next day. But the Lord still had more lessons that he wanted to teach me. This is what happened.
Yeah, exactly. New op pack in the air. Oh my gosh, bro. And I ain't a man to promote violence. I don't condone what he's about to do. But it's like, you gotta see it coming. You see what I'm saying?
Before Ricky could even get the information he was looking for, something in him snapped, and midway through their conversation, Ricky grabbed a knife and stabbed Karen in the arm, and then slit her throat.
Yeah, okay.
He fled the area that night, driving for hours until he reached California, the place that years before David Berg had started the family. There, he called his ex-wife, professing to everything he did, saying that he did it mainly for his sister Techi, but he felt no better.
Damn.
In fact,
is she dead? Did she end up dying?
In fact, he felt worse. And even looking back at the video, it's very obvious that this was something that Ricky didn't truly want to do, and instead,
It was like an abuse thing.
And he felt like he had to do it to avenge everyone that the family had hurt.
I'm not trained. I don't know how to fucking do this. I don't even want to fucking do this. God damn it.
And it was too late to take back what he did.
Yeah.
And so he stopped the car in a dark parking lot, sat there for a moment thinking about everything that had happened during his painful life, and ended his suffering once and for all.
I had a feeling. I knew it wasn't gonna get better. After he murked that person, he was like, I'm just gonna murk myself.
I mean, in a way, that's what these fuckers have done to us. They didn't actually, grab a knife and cut us up, but man, they sure fucked up our brains. That's the way it was at Grandpa and Mama's house. Literally or figuratively, they're going down.
Oh, that's him.
So, with that happy thought, I shall leave you.
He said, I didn't even want to do it. Damn, bro.
Ricky Rodriguez.
You could tell by the way that he sounds like he was a good guy, bro. He was a good guy. He didn't want to do anything, bro. Like, you could just tell the pain in his voice, bro.
His death was devastating for the community of survivors of the family, and it caused shockwaves all throughout the family itself, as his final video was plastered all over the news. And though it didn't happen in the way he expected it or wanted it to, Ricky's life and death undoubtedly contributed to the decline of the family, and helped diminish the cycle of abuse within the group. Starting from the story of Davidito, the public pressure forced Berg to outlaw the widespread abuse that he once preached. And though it is believed that it never really came to an end, it was at the very least significantly reduced. And by the time the news began to cover Ricky's death, it proved to be the final wake-up call for many still within the group, as they finally began to see through the facade that had once controlled their lives.
Like Grandpa says, prayer is powerful. When we pray, things will happen and things will be different.
It's difficult to watch any of Life with Grandpa, knowing its history, its purpose, and the real people that it was inspired by. Though as soon as the media began taking notice of the cult, many members were made to purge the media that was sent to them that may be considered incriminating. And as a result, it appears that most of Life with Grandpa is missing to this day, and potentially destroyed forever. Currently, only 4 episodes have been recovered, and it's not even known how many more were released, or even what year the show started or ended. But considering how closely the show mirrored the book, it's possible that these potentially missing and destroyed episodes are much worse than the ones we have today. But despite not knowing the full extent of the show, it's clear that Life with Grandpa and the countless other programs that the family made did exactly what they wanted them to. They brainwashed an entire generation of the cult's children, and the effects were devastating.
But they become extremely agitated when we ask them about Moses David Berg's teachings on sex.
My Little Fish. Now, your father described that as a routine publication.
They're not having sex, they're just kissing and hugging in bed. That's not sex.
If you show it to other people, they don't understand. That stuff's not supposed to be publicized. So many people think sex is wrong. So many people.
Oh my gosh. You hear what she's saying? You see what she's saying, bro? Yeah, bro, this world is scary and crazy, bro.
Hate us.
Like, you see what she's like? She's trying to like defend it. She's like, it's not bad. He's teaching us the right things. And little does she know.
But we just telling them the truth. We're just telling them it's not wrong. We're just telling them that there's nothing wrong with it. And here come these publicizers doing them to everybody.
Damn, bro. Oh my god.
Between the strange content from the program itself, its obvious attempts at indoctrinating kids into a cult that was only ever going to harm them, the real-life people behind the characters, and the fact that this propaganda was so effective, I have no doubt that Life with Grandpa is the darkest children's show that I've ever come across.
I would 100% say.
Though, shockingly, there's somehow one more layer to the story that makes this program even more disturbing.
How does it get more disturbing than this? The fact that the biggest jump is at the end of this video is, oh my gosh.
And now,
Eater.
Here's the exciting ending to this story.
One thing that we haven't discussed yet is who was actually the one behind the creation of the show. There's no doubt that it's David Berg's stories and was probably done at his request, but who is the one actually making it? Well, unfortunately, most of the people who worked on the show have their identities hidden by only using their first names, or
exactly, bro.
Or even using straight up aliases, so I could hardly find any information on any of them, with the exception of one, Peter Puppet. Peter Puppet was sort of a celebrity within the group, being responsible for numerous puppet shows, including one called The Lovettes.
Now I see why people find puppets to be crazy.
Which was actually far more popular than Life with Grandpa, and was even supposedly broadcast on TV in the Philippines, with the show being a disturbing rabbit hole in its own right.
Would you like to hear a story? Well then, let's go see Grandpa in the garden. Hello, children. So nice of you to visit us in the garden today.
But Peter Puppet owned this group and was in charge of the Lovettes team, and coincidentally, the Lovettes just so happened to be credited as the producers of Life with Grandpa. So Peter Puppet was, at the very least, one of the contributing creators of the show. And he also seems to be the one in charge of performing the actual musical numbers on the show, as they featured puppets that belonged to Peter and the Lovettes team, with these segments interestingly being credited to an unknown man named Peter Pioneer.
We have a beautiful song from Peter Pioneer.
It's not a concrete link, but it's clear that Peter Puppet had a role in the show's creation, and helped push the family's disturbed ideology onto hundreds of kids across the globe.
So
but
even
during the
more
creation
people.
of Life with Grandpa, it seems his own beliefs were being tested. In the beginning of the video, we saw an example of the family's view on doctors.
Surely a doctor would have stitched it, but our God is still a God of miracles. Praise the Lord.
This sentiment was really common in the family, as Berg outright forbade any medicine or surgeries of any kind, instead preaching that miracles from God were the only way to heal. And because of this, many members of the family with chronic ailments or fatal illnesses were basically left to die. And one of those left suffering was Peter Puppet. His life is almost entirely a mystery, as he lived in hiding in one of the family's compounds, but according to some of the group's members, one day he noticed something in his neck, a small lump. And over the next few weeks and months, it began to slowly get bigger and bigger, to the point that Peter had to go visit a doctor in order to see what was wrong. And it was there he learned that inside of him was an aggressive tumor that was only going to get larger. The good news was the tumor was actually operable and could be removed with little risk to his life, but the bad news was surgeries were against the family's beliefs, and so he turned it down, instead opting to go back to the compound to pray the tumor away with the other members.
What?
This, however, never happened. Instead, the mass began to grow at an even faster rate.
I was gonna say, God probably sent that on him and was just like, yeah, you're evil too. I'm gonna get you out too.
To the point that those around him could notice it, eventually leading to Peter hiding away in his room, away from the others, not wanting to be seen. However, at some point during his struggle, a photograph was taken, showing the entire compound he was living with.
Oh, and this is him right here. This is how it got worse. This is everybody. Oh my gosh, I feel so sad for all these kids, bro.
And in the background, we see Peter, whose neck is impossibly large. From here, it said that Peter began to beg the family to take him to get the surgery, as the tumor was quite literally suffocating him slowly, turning him against the very beliefs that he once forced upon so many children over the years. But the family forbade it, insisting that he wait for a miracle that was never going to come. With nowhere else to turn, Peter Puppet supposedly ended his own life shortly after this photograph was taken, adding the final pillar of context to Life with Grandpa, a program that can only be described as the darkest children's show ever created.
We've got to go now. Let's wave bye-bye, kids. God bless you. Come on, say bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Sadly I wandered for many a year, driven by hunger.
Okay, my thing that's so confusing is that Davidito, okay, we get it, he killed himself. Or he ended himself. One of the girls, right, she seems to be like trying to figure out her own life, and then there was the other one, her name was Techie. What happened to her? Did she die?
I must arise and go backward through sorrow.
David Berg died of natural causes in 1994. So natural causes, like he went to sleep and just didn't wake up. Yo, you know what sucks though? You know what sucks? God be doing it, yo. This is why God is so good, bro. People will like evil people will live, right? And God won't just kill, like, for all the heinous crimes that they did, he won't kill them. He won't let them kill. He'll let them live out their days of their life. because they know that where they're going after this, it is runts. This man is 1,000% rotting in hell right now. I can guarantee you that. If there's one person I can guarantee who's rotting in hell right now, it is probably this man. He was never convicted of a single crime. See, that's the thing though. You don't got to be convicted by man. God saw everything you did. The intention, your heart, all of it. You're cooked. How do you stand in front of the Lord Jesus Christ himself? What do you say? I didn't know I was doing it for you. No, you weren't. Depart from me, for I never knew you. Damn. Karen Zerby continues her husband's legacy by leading the family to this day. What? She has not been photographed or seen publicly since 2010. Oh my gosh, so it's still happening. Yeah, she gonna live out her days too. She gonna be right there in hell unless something happens. Sarah Kelly. Who is Sarah Kelly? Is that the wife? Who is Sarah Kelly? Sarah Kelly left the family and went into hiding. She was last seen living in Costa Rica in 2018, working with Seeds of Hope. A charity specialized to helping vulnerable women and children. Okay, so it seems to be that she turned her life around. Upon learning of her true identity, Seeds of Hope severed ties with her, and she has never been seen again. No dip. You're telling me you're helping an organization that helps women that have probably been victims of such things that you endorsed and have been oh my gosh, that's insane. It's insanity.
Why should I perish?
Okay, I was gonna ask about what happened to Techie. Techie would later speak out against what her brother did, claiming that no abuse ever took place and that Ricky was simply disturbed. So, oh my gosh, so it happened to her so much that she's not even like bothered by it. Like she's just telling Ricky, yo, Ricky, why are you geeking? You know nothing ever happened, Ricky. Oh God. So she was pretty much trying to cover up for the family. Oh my gosh. And then the other girl, Davidita, she was jacked up. She looked like she was going through it. That's why y'all got to be very thankful for y'all families, bro. She remains with the family. I knew it, bro. Remains with the family to this day. I had a feeling, bro. So she's probably partaking in such heinous activities. Due to the statute of limitations, the many victims of the family will likely never receive the justice they deserve. Wow. Do statute of limitations like stop if something happened like a while ago or so? How does that work? The family continues its operations with strict rules against abusive children. False. It's probably doing it 10 times worse now. Still a cult. Still a sex cult. However, they never disavow David Berg's teaching. So they probably still do what David Berg has said, but they're just telling the public, guys, the old leader was like that. We're not like that. You see what I'm saying? That's like the Triple K. That's like the Triple K getting new management. Gang, y'all still are supremacist. Y'all still want to hurt people that don't look like you. Do you hear yourself? Bro, if I ever found a location, I would smoke the the family. Now, it actually sucks though, because if they continue the way that they're going, I always see that there's retribution later down the line, even though they are in a very, very wicked pit. You see what I'm saying? Because there are people that were Satanists that ended up turning their life for God. Like they're Jesus connoisseurs all the way through and through. But if they continue to go down the way that they are going right now, hell is hot. Hot. And you got to understand though, like you have to realize when it comes to after death, heaven is way better than you could have ever imagined. You get what I'm saying? You have to realize that heaven is way better than you could have possibly imagined. And that also goes for hell too. You couldn't even imagine how bad hell is. You get what I'm saying? Like, It's either forever with the father or forever apart from the father. Glock with a switch, akimbo style. Wow. Wow. That video is a freaking movie, bro. What the fudge? Maybe they would teach their children not to go doctor because they would see the children were abused. Yeah. This was worse than I expected. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you. I knew it was gonna get bad since it was a darkest kid show. I knew it was gonna be bad, but I didn't know how bad it would have got. Seeing that little girl crying, desperately trying to explain her abuse is normally one of the most heartbreaking things I've seen. Wait, where? There was so much trauma that happened in that video. I didn't pick up on the little stuff. I'm so serious. Sure, the video you can only watch once because I simply can't watch the first portion of the video again, knowing the background. I did not expect the comments to become explicit all of a sudden. If I had a dime each time there's a sinister event. Yo, I don't even know. Oh man, cults are kind of hyperfixations of mine. And I immediately thought the puppets look a bit like David. Truly evil man. Rest in peace, Ricky. And that sucks. I don't know, bro. My thing is, I wonder what happens to those people. You know what I mean? The kid that said was good. Wait, at the end? Wait. Are you talking about the one at the end? Wait a second. Where is it? She was right here. Her face was blurred. Blurred face. No. They're like, oh, don't tell us about that. What's it called? Why are they telling us? Her?
Your father described that as a routine publication.
Is it her?
Having sex, they're just kissing and hugging in bed.
Her? Oh.
That's not sex. If you show it to other people, they don't understand. That stuff's not supposed to be publicized. So many people think sex is wrong. So many people hate us. But we just telling them the truth. We're just telling them it's not wrong. We're just telling them that there's nothing wrong with it. And here come these publicizers doing them to everybody.
Yeah, she's locked in it, bro. That jutsu is freaking strong, bro. I ain't even gonna lie to you. This was a perfectly documented video. Beautiful, bro. If y'all enjoyed the video, what is wrong with you? Please find Christ. I'm trolling. No, but for real though. Yo, if y'all enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel. It's your boy Kiddabsolute. I'm gonna catch you in the next one. Peace.